All right, happy Friday, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Ellie Lindrum. I'm Capacity Building Manager at United Way of Central Indiana. I've got a couple other United Way colleagues on the phone today who will help field questions in the chat. So feel free to ask questions as we go through the presentation today. We're here today to talk about the Nonprofit Restart Program. Some of you might be aware of a similar restart program that was rolled out for the private sector a couple weeks ago by the city and the Indy Chamber. We're proud to detail the partnership between the City of Indianapolis and United Way today to offer a similar program for local nonprofits here in Marion County, as we collectively work to determine the safest ways to best serve our clients and community, while also taking special precautions to keep our employees safe. This program is made possible with the funding of the Federal CARES Act that's been delivered to the city. As a trusted partner, United Way has taken the lead on administering this program to ensure the dollars are best used and quickly turned around to local nonprofits. We are lucky enough to have Scarlett Martin with us today, Director of Community and Economic Development for the City of Indianapolis. Thank you for being here today, Scarlett. I'm going to hand it over to you at this time for any announcements that you would like to make.
Well, thank you, Ellie, and I want to thank the rest of the staff at United Way. Mayor Hogsett is proud to have you all as a partner with the city on this critical program. And I also want to thank the City County Council for appropriating the funds to make this program possible. As Ellie said, the city's been launching a series of programs and responses over the past couple of months as we attempt to reopen our public spaces and our economy. And in May, as Ellie said, we announced a partnership with the Indy Chamber to launch the Restart PPE grant program for businesses, which is an equivalent program to that which we'll discuss today. And of course, the demand for that program and what we saw as a critical need for nonprofits led us to create this program. We also have launched this month our #MaskUpIndy campaign. We offer a free face covering to Marion County residents through that program. You can request one at indy.gov/masks. And finally, in the coming weeks, we're going to be announcing the details to a $15 million rental assistance program, also with CARES Act funding. So stay tuned for more information on some of those programs. But in the meantime, I would always encourage folks to visit indy.gov/COVID-19. That's where we keep our regularly updated resources on city and partnership programs. But thank you again. I really appreciate being a part of this and the partnership with United Way for this program.
Thank you, Scarlett. And thank everybody for joining the call today to learn more. We know that you guys as not-for-profit organizations are preparing to reopen your facilities, facing the new realities of COVID-19. We know you guys are working hard and have already been purchasing some PPE and other health and safety related items. So today we're going to discuss the details of this nonprofit restart program and the process for reimbursement under the program, where to find all the information and how to apply. Before we dive right in, just a couple housekeeping issues. As mentioned, there is the chat box. Feel free to type questions in. We've got our colleagues that will be paying attention to that chat box and hopefully getting questions answered throughout this. Also, just wanted to mention this webinar is being recorded. The goal is to post it on the Nonprofit Restart website after the call today. So moving forward, while this program is called Nonprofit Restart Program, I did want to take a second and say that United Way of Central Indiana recognizes that many nonprofits never really slowed down or closed during this pandemic. In fact, many of you and your organizations have been working harder than ever to meet the needs of the community during this time. United Way wants to thank you for your tireless work. Day in and day out, we know it hasn't been easy. This program will hopefully be a mechanism for you and your organization to get reimbursed for keeping your community, clients, and employees safe. I am going to dive right into the details of the program, which it'll be helpful for me to share my screen. So I'm going to do that. Okay, Linda, can you maybe confirm that you're seeing the Nonprofit Restart website?
Yes, we are live with the website.
Okay, great, thanks. We put in the chat at the very beginning this website here, as well as the general email. If there are any outstanding questions or concerns, we have a Nonprofit Restart at United Way email address. So you can find those in the chat. Just wanted to bring you here so you would know when you get into the website what you will be looking at. This program for nonprofits is an opportunity to be awarded between $200 and $5,000 to registered 501c3s located in Marion County. Reimbursements would be for purchases of PPE, disinfectant products, as well as capital improvements needed during this time, such as signage, air handling, partitioning for social distancing, and improvements that may needed to have been made for safe queuing. This is a one-time application, so we will go through this in a minute, but each organization will be allowed to apply one time, which means all receipts and paperwork will be submitted at once. The applications did open earlier in the week, and we are updating a frequently asked questions page. So there is a link here to the FAQ page, which I'm going to go to right now. And we'll just kind of walk through some of this basic eligibility information. So the funding for this program is through the CARES Act, as mentioned. So the eligibility criteria, we are not able to be flexible other than what you see here. So an organization must be a 501c3. We've already had some questions if a 501c6 would qualify, but it does not. It has to be 501c3. The organization has to be located in Marion County, and proof of Marion County address will be submitted. The organization has to be on record with the state of Indiana as a registered 501c3 prior to February 15th, 2020. And the reimbursement for the PPE supplies or cleaning or whatever you are submitting for, the eligible dates of purchase that you can seek reimbursement for are purchases made between March 16th and August 15th, 2020. We have gotten several questions already. Since August 15th is still a ways away, if people can submit quotes for items they intend to purchase, but this is a reimbursement program. So again, just to reiterate, all receipts would have to be submitted with the application. So therefore, the purchases would have to be made in advance. Here next is how do you verify that you are located in Marion County? On the application itself, there will be spaces to attach the documentation needed to prove that you're located in Marion County. So items that we're accepting include a bank statement or articles of incorporation showing that you are in fact located in Marion County. When the receipts are submitted, we will be cross-checking the dates of purchase. We will be making sure that the material purchased qualifies for the program. There will have to be a vendor name and the date, the transaction was done. So we will be cross-checking all of that information. If there was shipping or taxes involved with receipts, those are not eligible expenses, and we can walk through that more here in a little bit. Let's see. So the required documentation, again, is spelled out here and listed here. There will be prompts within the application itself. You will be able to see exactly what is being asked for, and you will need to upload those. Many of those fields have been locked down as required fields during the application. So if in fact you may have inadvertently forgotten to attach your 501c3 letter, you will be prompted, your application will not be able to be processed without submitting that. So you will get a notification of any required field that was not completed. So what qualifies during this reimbursement grant? Again, this is a program designed to reimburse organizations for PPE and other capital improvements, the face shields, gloves, hand sanitizer, disinfectant products that you have purchased. Capital improvements, again, as mentioned, could be partitions or safe queuing modifications you have had to make. If we have gotten the question about professional cleaning and sanitation of your building is a qualifiable expense. If you have other questions about eligible expenses that are maybe not listed here, please feel free to email the nonprofit restart at uwci.org, and we will look into that and provide you with an appropriate case-specific answer. Just again, reiterating, the minimum amount that can be reimbursed is $200, and the maximum would be $5,000. There is no required PPE vendor that you must go through, but we thank the Chamber for sharing their list with us. There is a list of local vendors here. This is a hyperlink, so if you are needing additional products, you can, once you're on this FAQ site, you can take a look at the list of local vendors if there are any products you still need. The applications are being accepted until August 15th. Actually, I'm sorry. Gina, can you chime in here? I thought the expenses could be done until August 15th, but the application had till August 31st to submit.
Yeah, you can incur your costs. You can make your purchases through August 15th, and all your completed applications have to be submitted and complete by August 31st.
Okay, thank you, Gina. So we will be updating this FAQ to reflect August 31st. So applications can be accepted until August 31st. We do have a typo right here, and I apologize for that. We will get that corrected. So just moving on for the technical part of how do you submit. The receipts are going to need to be combined into one PDF. If there are other expenses on the receipt that are not PPE for this program, that's okay. Just circle the expenses that you are submitting for this grant. There will also be a corresponding Excel spreadsheet that I will show you here in a second, and you're going to have to itemize all the expenses that you're submitting for reimbursement for. And I will walk you through where to find that reimbursement sheet. How do I receive the funds? During your application, you will be asked to provide banking information. Our accounting department will get you set up as a vendor. So you will see specific requests for electronic funding transfer approval. You'll have to fill out an EFT authorization form. When can you expect the funds? We will be processing all applications on a first come, first served basis, and you should receive those funds within 30 days of your submission. I am going to move over back to the main page where we started. If you go to the bottom of this, this is where It's kind of spells out the process for applying really easily. So step 1, collect your receipts. Step 2, you're going to fill out the reimbursement form, which you can download right here. And that reimbursement form looks like this. So you will be, excuse me, you will be entering the date of the item that you purchased. You'll be entering the purchase date. You'll describe what that item is. You'll quantify how many of those items, the total amount, what that item was used for. If that item was a capital expense, meaning a partition or something that was more of a capital expense, you would indicate yes here. And if that expense is greater than $2,000, that's going to flag that in our system for some additional steps in terms of review. The last couple columns here are for United Way internal staff. As they go through and verify each receipt, they will be making notations here. I do want to show you, again, we thank the Chamber for having the templates and infrastructure put together. They were kind enough to create an example. And here you can see what I had mentioned. There are other purchases on this particular receipt from Silver in the City that may not have been related to PPE. So they have just highlighted or identified the expenses here on this receipt that was going to be submitted for reimbursement. Same thing here is another example of a receipt where they've indicated very clearly what the product was. And this is an Amazon receipt. We've already seen some of these come through, so make sure, just a reminder, if you are being charged taxes on something, do not include the taxes as part of reimbursable expense. So you will just list the actual cost of the product. So that should be helpful, having those example sheets. One thing I have not mentioned yet, but I want to, and for those of you who were early to apply, there'd been some questions related to multiple locations. And so the eligibility for this program is per 501c3. However, if there is a 501c3 that has multiple satellite locations, that each location could be eligible for up to $5,000. What you would have to do is you would have to itemize the receipts for your location. We have these different tabs at the bottom. So I will walk you through the application here in a second. The application is going to ask, do you have multiple satellite locations? And if you do, it's going to refer you to these tabs at the bottom to account for your various locations. So that is something that we have worked through since this initially went live earlier in the week. So just want to say, if you are submitting for multiple locations for one 501c3, everything still has to come together in one application. I am going to go back to this main screen here. So once you've collected your receipts, you've itemized them on the reimbursement form, that means you're going to have everything ready to apply. And so you'll come to this tab here, and that will take you to the application. So this is page 1 of the application. Everything is fairly self-explanatory, and you can see definitely many of the fields are required fields. Again, it's verifying here if you have additional satellite locations. If you say yes, which I just clicked on, it's going to prompt you for the number of locations you're submitting for. And then we're going to ask you to describe those additional locations, including the address for each of those sites. There is some demographic information here that we are going to capture. The applicant details, you can put the person that's applying, you can put their information if you want to. It's not a required field, but you can indicate your CEO or executive leader's contact information. If there's any communication that we need to have back with your organization, we will send that to both names on file. And that's page 1. Page 2 of the application is where you will input your overall cost that you're seeking reimbursement for. This is where you will be requested to provide your electronic funds transfer information. And then down here, these are the required fields I was mentioning. The 501c3 letter, you will attach that file here. Your articles of incorporation, you will just go through this and attach each file according to what is being asked. One thing I want to mention is that if for any reason the proper files are not included. So for example, let's say somebody submitted their tax exempt letter instead of their 501c3 letter. We actually need verification of 501c3 status. So what happens is if an application is incomplete, we're going to notify you that it was incomplete, and we're going to tell you what was missing. And then you're going to have to reapply. Since these are a first in, first out basis, if an application comes in and it's incomplete, it will not save your spot in the line. So if you have to resubmit your application because it was not initially complete, your fully completed application, once it's fully complete, will be processed in the order it was received the second time. So I don't know if I'm making that clear, but Scarlett, did that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Okay. Okay, so the other thing here, these are certifications where you will be certifying. We ask that you read all of these certifications closely due to the funding of this program. There are some stipulations in this self-certification area, so you'll want to make sure you read these closely and understand what you are signing. And then from there, you will submit the application. I am going to stop sharing for the moment. And well, I'm going to review my notes, but are there any questions, Linda, that maybe have come in on the chat box?
Yeah, there have been plenty of questions coming in. First one that hasn't been answered yet is, could you explain what this is? I've never been asked to provide it before for a proposal. Proof of domestic nonprofit corporation registration with the Indiana Secretary of State's office or other governmental entity, i.e. articles of incorporation.
Gina, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so if you're a 501c3, generally that means you're incorporated somewhere. So you should have an articles of incorporation or a registration with like the Secretary of State or something like that. Generally, it's your articles of incorporation.
Great. Next question is, we have had several staff pick up masks, cleaning supplies, and gloves and turn in their receipts for a reimbursement. Would that type of vendor, being a staff member, being included as eligible?
As long as the staff member is submitting the actual original receipt from when they purchased it, Yes. So if, say, a staff member went to Walmart and bought a package of masks, you'd need to have that Walmart receipt submitted with evidence of the masks being purchased. The presumption is you are reimbursing the employee as a regular reimbursable business expense, but you do have, just like they need to give you that original receipt for you to reimburse them, you need to give that to us for us to reimburse you.
Thanks, Gina. The next question is, if more CARES funding becomes available later this year, can a funded organization apply again then?
That will depend on what the rules are at the time that any of those additional CARES Act benefits roll out. We don't know at this time.
I've seen this come in a few times. We have had 2 Marion County locations, but our corporate office is in another county within the UWCI area. Are we eligible to apply?
No, it is only for locations being occupied and physically operated in Marion County.
And along with that, are local affiliates of a national organization eligible for reimbursement?
As long as they're occupied and operating in Marion County, Indiana. So if you are a 501c3 and you have a location here, so say you're a nonprofit that has 5 locations around the country. If you have a location here in Central Indiana, say like the American Red Cross might be a good example, that location would be eligible.
Thank you. There's a lot of similar questions like that. Next question, are organizations still qualified to receive these funds even if they've already received other grants funds related to COVID-19?
As long as you don't submit the same expenses to multiple of those funding sources. So that each funding source, generally as these things have come out, each funding source has funded a different thing. But to the extent you could submit under each one for the same thing, you cannot do that. You can't double dip. But having gotten some other source of funds under the CARES Act, such as maybe a Paycheck Protection Program loan, that's fine as long as you don't submit the same expenses in both places.
Should ethnicity numbers be based on those we are currently serving or those we normally serve? We are open, but only in a limited manner.
That is fine. Your sort of typical demographics of your typical clientele.
Does the document save to return later, or is it a one-time only document?
I'll chime in here. It is a one-time only document. With that said, if it is incomplete and we have to respond to you indicating that maybe you forgot to attach something, we can reopen the document at that time. So that you don't have to go through adding everything else. So for example, if you forgot your 501c3 letter, I can reopen your application, send you the link, and indicate what you were missing so that you don't have to start from total scratch. But the goal here really for processing is that everything will come in, you'll have everything put together. All your receipts will be, put in one PDF, everything will already be together. Your Excel spreadsheet will be completed and itemized, and then you would hit that apply tab and you would upload everything all at once.
Along that note, so to make sure I understand correctly, we submit the application first and then submit the receipts and spreadsheet?
When you, let me go back and share my screen one more time. When you go to complete the application, you will need to have everything ready. So this is page 2 of the application. And down here, these are required fields. So it will not let you complete the application if you don't have your 501c3 letter uploaded. If you don't have these files attached that the application is requiring, it's not going to let you submit. So to answer that question, basically, you are filling out the application here at the same time that you are submitting all of your documentation. So I will say we can see how long it takes folks to complete this. I've seen anywhere from 20 minutes to 2.5 hours that it's taken, but I think that might be because somebody didn't have everything put together in advance. So I hope that's helpful, but everything will need to be put together and you'll apply in the actual application at the same time you upload all the Excel spreadsheet and upload all the receipts.
We have a July 1st, we have a July 1st through June 30th fiscal year. May we use the new fiscal year organizational budget even if we were to submit before June 30?
So where it falls in your fiscal year doesn't impact. So the only date parameters are the expense itself had to be incurred, meaning you made the purchase on any date starting with March 16th through August 15th.
Do you have to use your organization's personal account to purchase the items in order to qualify for the reimbursement?
As if you say had an employee make the purchases and run it through as a business expense that they got reimbursed for, as long as you submit the original receipts, you're asserting that it was a business expense, that is fine. It all goes back to, we have to have the original receipts and evidence that it was purchased for your business.
We have had to purchase air purifier sanitizers because our windows do not open, but they are not permanently fixed into the building. Will that count?
Yes.
Will there be any post-award reporting required?
No.
This is a first come, first serve. Do you think you might run out of funding? I don't know what all of our COVID-related costs will be yet.
Well, we know we have a little under $2 million available, and the maximum for any single organization is $5,000. So we anticipate being able to fund 400, 500, maybe 600, depending on what the average total grant requests are coming in at. So the amount currently available should fund several hundred organizations. We don't have any early indications of kind of what demand is going to look like, so it's hard for us to say for sure, but that's kind of a little bit of the context we're working with.
We have not hired a professional cleaning service, but our contracted custodian deep cleaned our facility while it was closed. Are we able to seek reimbursement for his hourly work?
Yes, for that extra incremental cleaning, yes.
Should the demographic be for Marion County constituents only or for the entire organization?
Ideally for the location that you're submitting for, if it's not overly cumbersome to separate that out.
We don't track demographics for our visitors. How should we answer this question?
We asked for them just to estimate, give their best estimate then, if they don't track it. Let me actually go back and check if that is fully required. It is required, so you would just you would just give it your best estimate.
Is the maximum per organization $5,000, or that is the maximum per site?
That is the maximum per site. Each site must be located in Marion County to receive the reimbursement for that site.
Can you be more specific about the document that shows operations prior to February 15?
Yes, what we're looking for is evidence that you are physically located in Marion County, and that you were in fact in operation at the time prior to February 15th. So the best way for us to ascertain that is with, say, a January bank statement or a utility bill that's pre-February 15th that shows us, you were operating. Those will have an address on them, so that'll give us evidence that you were in Marion County, and the fact that you paid a utility bill or had some sort of evidence like that location was in operation. That's why we're asking for that particular piece of evidence. Your 501c3 letter could be from 30 years ago, so it may or may not indicate were you in operation and were you located in Marion County during the window of time you need to be eligible.
Are UV fixtures placed in rooms acceptable for reimbursements? They are about $1,000 per unit.
I will take a stab at this one. UV technology, there's still a lot of research being done on its effectiveness. So I think it's going to be important for any organization that is considering that to do their own in-depth research, but there has been some positive impact of that shown. So if your organization determines that that is necessary and you incur that expense, it would typically be viewed as acceptable.
I think the last one in the chat box right now is, how do we submit the receipts per site when we ordered PPEs for the whole agency in Marion County?
That is an excellent question. Can you, let's say you ordered, say you have 5 locations and you ordered a box of 10,000 masks. Could you maybe prorate those per location, sort of your best good faith estimate on how many went to each location or would have been used at each location? That may be the best approach to that.
I agree, and I think if you just notate on the receipt that you're dividing this one receipt up among your 6 locations, just make it very evident to the review committee, and they will then be able to cross-check the Excel reimbursement form to see that you did break that up per each location.
Another one came in, is this competitive or will all qualifying expenses be approved as long as there is funding remaining?
So there is a $5,000 cap per location. So with that one additional caveat, yes, it is first come, first serve in that regard.
And I think that is all the questions right now.
Okay, well, I reviewed all my notes. I don't have anything further to add. Gina, Gary, Scarlett, is there anything anybody else wants to add?
Some questions. Seems like questions. Linda's seeing different questions than I'm seeing. That's interesting. Your business entity report or amendment to articles of incorporation. Yes, that would be acceptable. Are automatic flush toilets, faucets, and door openers reimbursable? Have we had that come up yet? Gary, by any chance, have you seen that one?
Yes, and I did answer that quickly, and yes, those would be acceptable.
That's what I thought. How many utility bills? Just one to show evidence of operation for a given location.
Yeah, if it's multiple locations, you'd probably want one utility bill for each location to demonstrate that.
Right.
And a couple more questions just came in. I am a nonprofit with an office in Indy, headquartered in Ohio. Understanding that I do qualify. To prove I was in operation, can I submit a letter corresponding with a donation? Example, it's from the State Department of Health, or I have a deposit slip from bank deposits made locally.
No. Do you have any? Normally, part of the reason we ask for utility bills is because even if the billing address is being sent somewhere else, there's generally a service address on those. So that's why a utility bill is a really good example.
Someone asked again, with a main location in Johnson County, are the 2 satellite offices in Marion County able to apply? I did not hear the full answer to this.
Yes, if they are in operation and physically located in Marion County. Yep, absolutely.
And then someone wanted to clarify that technically an organization with 10 sites could get $50,000.
Yes, technically, yes.
I think, oh, there's one more. I don't know, Ellie, if you're working on responding to this. I'm a territory manager with J2 Medical Supply. How can I be added to the vendor list?
Yeah, we're working with the chamber. The current list of PPE providers is locked down, so we're working with the chamber to get access to update that. So that individual, if you can send me an email in the nonprofit restart at uwci email address, I can work with you offline on that.
Our utilities are paid for by our landlord. Can we provide a lease?
Utilities. Oh, I see. In terms of evidence of operation. Can you provide a lease? Do you have a bank statement that shows you? So the bank statement's a utility bill. The lease would in theory be okay, I guess, because it would show the term of the location that you're leasing.
Yeah, or something simpler, maybe a phone
Yeah.
bill or yeah.
Yeah, that's a thought. Yeah, phone bill or a that would work.
Our satellite locations are within partner organizations, but our PPE is our responsibility. Can we show multiple locations that are churches, schools, etc., but not registered places in our name?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I'm understanding the question. So they are not separate entities. So you wouldn't have more than one. You're just going to have one 501c3 for your whole org, or one set of articles of incorporation for your org, but you have multiple physical locations, even if you don't own it. If you're, say, leasing space from somebody else, But if that's one of your locations where you are operating out of and you bought masks or hand sanitizer, then that is fine. We just need something that shows evidence of that location is, you have some operations there. Kind of back to that phone bill, utility bill, that sort of evidence of operation.
Okay, I think that was the last question at the moment.
Okay, well, I think since everybody has the nonprofit restart email address that was listed at the outset of this call in the chat box, and you have access to the website, if you come up with any other questions after we all hang up, please feel free to send those our way. I don't have anything further. Scarlett's good. Gina, Gary, are you guys good?
We're good.
All right, everybody. Well, then we'll call this a wrap, and I hope you guys all have a really good weekend. Thank you again, Scarlett, and the city. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.